Thank you so much for joining us today. Of course, you guys have been following the Gradvine channel for a while and looking at our content. Today is a special day because we have a very special person joining us, and it's an honor and privilege for me to be interviewing this gentleman. We have Mr. Kevin Oy, who's the executive director at the Gordon Institute at Tufts University. As you know, Tufts has one of the oldest and most reputed MEM programs around. So all of you MEM applicants would definitely want to listen in to what he has to say about the program. And thank you so much for joining us today, Kevin. I'm sure a lot of students are going to benefit from the information that's going to come through today.
Well, thank you for giving me the opportunity. I'm really excited to share the story of the Gordon Institute with all of the people in your audience because it's a very special story.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think it's especially relevant because especially within India and across a lot of countries, the MEM is becoming such a popular degree, right? I remember applying to the MEM, a decade ago where it was considered a new degree, but now it's so mainstream. And in fact, my first question is about the MEM in itself, right? I still get a couple of students asking me about it being a niche degree and, where does it fit in? And since you've seen the evolution of this degree, can you just talk to me a little bit about the origin and the need of this degree and how it came about as Tufts as an individual degree?
Yes, Shrikar, I'm glad you started with that question because I think it actually goes to the heart of why the Master of Science in Engineering Management degree is such a critical degree, even more so today. So Bernie Gordon was actually a tech person himself. He was the inventor of the first portable CAT scan machine. And in fact, he started a company. He was an entrepreneur. He started a company to build a portable CAT scan machine. But what he found was that was looking for managers for his company. He was not happy with MBAs because he found that MBAs were general business people and most of them did not have a technical background and none of them had a context for how do you manage and lead within a technical operation. So Bernie was actually probably ahead of his time 33 years ago when he launched his own school of engineering management called the Bernie Gordon Institute. And but after several years, he realized that he's not in the business of running a school. And so because he actually was at Tufts during his Navy officer under training during the World War II, he actually donated the Gordon Institute to Tufts University. And we were very fortunate to be the recipients of it. So we became one of the first part-time for working professionals in the Boston area, a Master of Science in Engineering Management, focusing on people working in technology companies who wanted to be managers and leaders within their operation, in contrast to general business people. So it's a very, very, very strong story. And so today, it's evolved from just being that to now being one of the premier engineering management programs in the Boston area, serving life science, pharma, defense, semiconductors, computer science programming, consumer products, all across the board. All of the companies have a common denominator. They all touch technology, which wildly enough speaks to almost every company in the world today. Thanks to all the technology permeating every company, technology becomes fundamental. So the Master of Science in Engineering Management degree is even more relevant today than it was when 33 years ago Bernie founded it.
All right. So thank you so much for that because it gives us an insight into the initial vision behind starting not just the Tufts MEM, but MEM programs in general, right? But over the years, has this vision evolved in terms of the kind of skills you want to endow students, or has it been the same in terms of the underlying principle?
Oh, that's also a wonderful question. But just like tech evolves, our program has evolved. So back when Bernie was starting this 33 years ago, he was interested in very fundamental things. It reminded me of the days I worked at Bell Laboratories, because 33 years ago, I was at Bell Labs. So it was how do you manage technical teams in the context of just that, technical teams doing development. But over the years, we've evolved now to being a school that can educate people throughout the organization, not only the people in the R&D organization, but the people in particular in the product management, product marketing, finance, supply chain, operations, etc. Because in each of those domains, you need a broader sense of knowledge about the company than just its technology. You also need to understand its strategy. You need to understand its market positioning. You need to understand its financial basis for why it's an investable and a profitable and sustainable company. And most of all, to make all of that happen, you need to have the leadership skills to be able to persuade, negotiate, and lead others, even if they're not under your direct authority, who may be in different areas. So you're not just managing engineers, you're managing salespeople, you're managing marketing people, and so you need that diverse skills to be able to bring together people from across disciplines. And so if there's been one big significant trend to the overall program, it's been to widen the scope of impact, to widen it from being just about engineering management within the engineering development domain to now being across the whole operation.
All right. And I love that you started off with that MBA comparison, right? Because with a lot of students who are just about evaluating this degree, the the standard that they compare with is an MBA, because that's the management degree that everybody all over the world is aware of, right? And I try to tell them that, hey, this is a different degree. I'm sure that there are overlapping principles, but it's a very different skill set overall. So in terms of comparing an average MEM to an average MBA, what do you think are skills that overlap? What are the similarities? And what's completely different according to you?
Now, that's an excellent question, and we often get it as well. And what's interesting is that at the superficial level, both degrees cover business strategy, marketing, finance, leadership principles. But what makes the difference is the Master of Science in Engineering Management programs cover in the context of a technical company. So it's business strategy in a technical company. It's market positioning within a technology company. It's finance, justifying the finances and investability and the returns within a technical context. It's very different in technology-based companies, which today is almost every company. More so, we leverage the fact that the people coming to our program have a technical background. Math is easy. Understanding complex systems is easy. Systems thinking is easy because that's what you do as an engineer. You're constantly optimizing, experimenting, trying things as an engineer to do design. Now we take that skill set and we leverage it across the whole business. So now what I've noticed, and I used to actually post marketing interns from a major business school at my tech company that I worked at. And what I found was those that did not have a technical background were very limited in what they could do at my high-tech company because they lacked the technical context. So in our MEM programs, we take advantage of the fact that all of our degree candidates coming in have a technology background so we can go deeper. We can talk about supply chain in the context of the technology. We can talk about marketing in the context of the technology. We can talk about finance in the context of the technology. So it makes it for a much deeper immersive experience, and we do it in half the time. We're a one, if you want to really push yourself, you could get it done in one calendar year as opposed to two, which financially could mean a lot. But I think the message is context. I should add one other thing. Our faculty, we require our faculty to all be industry veterans because we think it's critical to learn these skills in the context of people who have actually lived through the fog of the real world. And so all of our faculty have deep technology, management, and leadership backgrounds. And they bring that to the classroom. And it's not because they're smarter. In fact, most of us have made so many mistakes in our life. It's humbling, but we know what questions to ask. We know what questions to bring out within the student, their own understanding the situation because of all the things that we've seen in the industry, in the technology industries.
All right. Thank you so much for that. And in fact, my next question does talk a little bit about the skills the program wishes to impart. So we see MEM programs which have their own unique character, right? We have some which are strong modules in operations and supply chain. Some others, very popular field like product management. So what about Tufts? Is there any core philosophy or area you try and drive your students towards? And what are the essential skills that you hope that your program will end up by the time candidates are done with it?
Yes, that's a wonderful question because I think I love all the MEM programs. And as you know, we're part of the MEMPC, which is 8 wonderful universities that all have MEM programs. But what's fascinating, our approach to it is different, not better, just different in the sense that we treat it holistically. So we don't just teach finance, marketing, new product development in siloed courses. We integrate it all together to give the students a chance to work as a team to do a new product development, to work as a team to do a capstone consulting project with industry. So we give them an opportunity to take these courses and integrate them into a holistic experience. Number 2, each of those courses, the model in our head as we do this is to make them great product managers. Why? Because product managers are they're like general managers of their own little business within a company. They have to understand the customer. They have to understand the business case. They have to understand the value prop. They have to understand how to communicate to the marketing. They have to understand the supply chain operations and manufacturing issues. They have to understand the financial issues to justify to the CFO. They have to work with sales. They're like the conductor in an orchestra, where they have to talk to so many different parts of the business and be able to know and speak the language of each and coordinate it all into one beautiful symphony. And by holding that model in our head, it's not that we want to produce just product managers, but if you have that perspective, you can step into any role in a company and be able to have impact. And so we find that model to be helpful. And then the third leg of the stool is that we also believe the best way to learn this is by doing. So we don't just have people who lecture and listen to this, slap our gums, we're wiser. We give you immersive opportunities to jump in and actually do. We think the best way of learning, for example, Six Sigma is to become a black belt, to actually apply it. We think the best way to learn new product design is design a new product. We think the best way to learn finance is build the case, build a model. So everything that you're doing in the program always ends up with you doing a project with a team of people. So a team of your cohort, because we also believe the best way to learn how to work with others and lead others is to do it. And so every semester, there's always multiple group projects where you're working with your colleagues and you're doing all those things you're learning in your leadership class about team building, about persuasion, about conflict resolution, because that's sure to come up in any team. But by having that direct experience in the context of a group project, and by having the coaching of the faculty nearby, we believe you're going to develop your confidence in yourself to step out into the world and actually apply these skills.
All right. Thank you so much for that. And my next question, in fact, talks about a little bit of the current scenario. So, Kevin, we come from a land of engineers, right? So the general idea is that, hey, if I can code, I can get a job. And that's what drives a lot of people into engineering. And the engineering management program is a little bit of a departure from, core tech and just coding, right? But again, the job market has been challenging. So a lot of students have been wondering whether, tech management programs and non-core tech programs are still leading to good jobs. So do you think it is a necessity that students coming into the Tufts MEM or any MEM need to take technical electives to be hired? Or do you see all sorts of elective combinations leading to great career outcomes at this point?
Oh, Shiva, that's also an excellent question because I believe the answer is twofold. One is, I actually think the best way to get a job is to find what makes your heart sing and focus on becoming the best at that. I would not focus on, I'm going to get a job and here's what I have to get. Because number one, the jobs are all going to change and they're elusive. Number two, you have an opportunity in the MEM programs to really become a better you. And a better you is unique. And because you're unique, you bring unique value to the world. So when we actually say, hey, take these electives, we encourage you to take electives anywhere across all of Tufts, particularly in areas that make your heart sing and that would be difficult to learn once you leave the university. So, for example, one of the popular courses is actually taking a private equity course at the Fletcher School of Law and Diplomacy. Why the Fletcher School of Law and Diplomacy? Well, we have some of the best global thinkers at the Fletcher School of Law and Diplomacy. We also have a wonderful faculty member who teaches private equity because he used to be a private equity person. What a wonderful way to learn about global private equity by taking a course with people who are actually focused on international relations. I mean, if that's the kind of unique skill that you would not have once you leave the university. We have another student who took courses in virtual reality design at the School of Museum of Fine Arts. What's that got to do with management and engineering management? Absolutely, on some level, you're like, well, that's kind of weird. What? It has to do with building virtual reality galleries. This is interesting now. Now that person's going to step out into the world, into a company in this world of AI-rich worlds, be able to build virtual things, understand the context of design of these realities, not just the technology, plus have all the MEM backgrounds and how do you build the customer case, the value proposition, and everything else. So it's an opportunity in the electives to actually go beyond. Yes, you can take technical electives anywhere in the School of Engineering, but you can also take electives anywhere in the university at Tufts. And that, to me, is a wonderful opportunity in that year to really, really, really find what makes your heart sing. One last quick story. Steve Jobs is famous for having taken a course in typography, in font design, for no good reason other than he was curious. And yet, because he took that course, he had the unique insight when he built the Mac to deliver designable fonts. That's the kind of serendipity that we want to increase when you come to a university like Tufts that has 11 schools. And that's why we encourage all our students to take their electives broadly and not just narrowly.
Okay, wow. Now that's making me question the electives I took when I was at my MEM program. So I wish I had this advice a little earlier. So Kevin, we of course had a webinar with our students a few months ago. And the one constant piece of feedback we received from all of them was how welcoming and warm all the folks on that webinar were. And it really genuinely seemed like it's a very close-knit sort of atmosphere at Tufts. And the faculty and all stakeholders are very invested in the success of their students. So that really appealed to a lot of students in terms of making Tufts such a compelling place to go to. But according to you, because you're there, what is your favorite part of the culture at Tufts? And any insights you can give our listeners into that?
Shikar, I'm really glad that came across on the call because it's what makes Tufts special to me. I actually am a Tufts graduate myself, electrical engineering. I just had my 45th college reunion. So I started off life as an electrical engineer, worked at Bell Laboratories, blah, blah, blah. But the reason I love Tufts over the years is it's, to me, the Goldilocks University. We're not so big that we're siloed into our departments and schools, and we're not so small that we don't have critical mass in key areas. We're just the right size where we can collaborate widely across the school. It's always humbling to me that I can go to any faculty member in any school and say, hey, we're thinking about this, or I have a student who's interested in this area. Could you actually talk to them? Or, could they do a project with you, et cetera? And the answer has always been, let's talk, sure. So I find the real value of Tufts that really brings joy to my heart is that our goal of building a worldwide community of transformative leaders with heart is really central to the mission of the Gordon Institute. And what we mean by community is exactly not just the community of students themselves who get to know each other really well, but the community of students who then get to know the faculty, the staff, the alumni, all as part of a community where we actually share in each other's success over the whole 40-plus year arc of their professional careers. That's the power to me of the Tufts community, is that we stay in touch with each other. We have our alumni come back and help us. We have mentoring programs, and we do one-on-one. Every MEM student can have a mentor who's an alumni of Tufts, which is providing mentoring in the career phases, which becomes invaluable. And it's about building these relationships that, to me, is one of the most powerful things you can do during your graduate education, is build relationships. In some weird way, a lot of the content today, you can find it online. But what you can't find online is all those deep personal relationships and the wisdom that goes with having them. And that's what we welcome at Tufts, really building that community. And it's not just within the Gordon Institute or School of Engineering, it's across all of Tufts.
All right. That's so lovely, because I think one of the things that I valued the most about my experience and that I miss was learning from my peers and those around me, and those conversations which I'm going to hold on to for a lifetime. And this actually takes me to my next question about the peer learning at Tufts, right? You learn so much from those around you. So have you seen candidates walk into the program, maybe transform significantly and evolve through the cohort experience and the peer learning experience? Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Oh, that's the part that warms my heart the most. I'll give you some examples without using real names because those people. I had a student last year, came from India. I'd worked several years, very much wanted to work in the EV auto industry. We came to the United States, was just probably focused on doing that, right? Came to the program, ended up working on a project that they were designing some completely different thing, had nothing to do with EVs. But he discovered in that process how much fun and joy it was to work with another group of people on a completely different topic that he had never been exposed to before. Going out and interviewing customers about this project. It was actually a project that had to do with creating a software tool that actually did auto commenting of code. So he was an electrical engineer, came out of the EV industry, was not a coding person, not a code, but not deeply. So to work on a project that was actually building AI-generated code generation tools and documentation for software was really a cool experience for him. But what happened was he then met an industry advisor, a member of our industry advisory council member, who worked at a major semiconductor fabrication equipment company. And he invited him to come up for just a visit. And as a result of that visit, he ended up doing an internship. And as a result of that internship, he ended up getting a job offer. And he's now working as a manager that's bridging between design and manufacturing and operations, this very sophisticated semiconductor production equipment. And that is so far removed from his EV dreams, but he's so happy because he's doing work that he loves. He found that the real love is the combination of design and also operations. And he's doing it for, a very nice compensation, I'll say, with a very nice title. He's a manager title, and it's right out of the program. And to me, it's the kind of transformation that happens because he was willing to learn from his colleagues on that team. He was willing to take risks to stretch and investigate areas outside what he thought was his area of interest. He was willing to take the risk of doing an internship in a completely different area. He was immersed in that internship, and as a result of that, he was given an opportunity to get a position at the company permanently. So that, to me, is the kind of experience that we want all our students to have.
That's so lovely, and broadening your horizons is a huge part of why one should attend these elite programs for sure. And that's a wonderful story, and thank you for sharing that. And after the wonderful things, Kevin, we come to a little problem, and that problem is that I understand that your cohort is small and very selective, and of course, there's a lot of aspirants wanting to get into the program. So if you can shed some light on what the incoming cohort size is for the 2024 fall. And if there are any plans of increasing that cohort size, because I'm sure a lot of students would be curious about that.
Yeah, no, that's an excellent question, Sheikh. Let me see if I can also provide a little perspective. While the entering cohort for this fall for the Master of Science in Engineering Management is about 25 students, in addition to that, we have 50 students who are coming for the Master of Science in Innovation and Management students. So they're going to be part of a community that right away on campus is over 75 to 80 students. On top of that, we also have our working professional MSEM online students. So, when you add that all up, you're over 150, 200 students, across all the graduate programs. Plus, we touch over 1,000 undergraduate students a year. And that's also part of the Gordon Institute in our engineering management minor for undergraduates, our entrepreneurship minor for undergraduates, and that's all part of the community. So in some sense, yes, the cohort around the engineering management program is going to be 25 students or so, but they're part of a larger graduate community. Plus, we're planning on many of the seminars are going to be shared. The career planning is all shared. So I think they're going to find that what they're really joining is the community of over 200 graduate students at the Gordon Institute. Plus, they're joining the community of graduate students at the School of Engineering, which is now gets you up to close to 500. Plus, you're joining the community of graduate students at Tufts University, which is over 5,500 students. So in some sense, they won't be alone. And yes, we do plan on growing it. We wanted to intentionally keep this initial cohort on the very small side because we want to get the formula right and we want that intimacy there. We probably won't grow this to a couple hundred people kind of thing because we want to keep that intimacy. The only way we would grow to that size is if we can replicate and scale the group experience and intimacy, which makes our program so critical.
That's wonderful. And I think with the MEM full-time cohort being 25 students, they have so much more time with the faculty and the resources on offer that it's going to be a wonderful experience to all the fortunate ones who did make it this year. And that does take me to the next question, which is, of course, making the most out of the program and career outcomes that students really care about. So what are the most popular roles that you've seen Tufts MEM graduates make it to in recent years? And if you'd like to shed some light on, the positions, some numbers, the median starting salaries, I think that will greatly benefit a wider audience. So if you don't mind, we'd love to hear about that.
No, sure. In fact, what I'll do is I'll give you a couple of context ones because what's important is over the 33 years we've been running the Master of Science in Engineering Management program, a couple of the stats that we're most proud of are over 70% of the students get promoted while they're still in the program. These are working professionals. And the majority of them actually had pay increase, substantive double-digit pay increases through the program as well. And many of them have gone on to be C-suite people. So the overall arc of people coming out of our graduate programs is quite successful. More near-term, the Master of Science in Innovation Management program, which we've been running for 8 years, that's a full-time program coming out. The most popular title coming out of that has been product or project manager. And the compensation for those has been in the high five to low six-figure kind of numbers. It really depends on the company, right? So I can take a compensation lower in a startup company because I have equity in stock. I expect to get six figures when I go to a big company because it's a big company. So to me, the more important measure is what it blows my mind is the number of students who are taking positions where they just are stunned that they got it. They didn't think that they would be able to get something like that because they thought coming into the program, they were going to be narrowly saying, I have to do this, this, or this. And what we encourage them to do is explore widely. I'll give you an example. We had a student who came in as a biomedical engineer, took our program, thought that they wanted to be doing something around consulting. That's a favorite topic too, if not product management, consulting. But she took on a lark, a technical sales job with a startup company with a new way of treating prostate cancer. I mean, completely, startup, prostate cancer, et cetera. Within 6 months, they promoted her to a regional salesperson, account manager, because she was so good at using her skills in communications, her understanding of technology, her ability to be able to pitch, her marketing positioning skills, to be able to leverage to a much broader role in the company. And I think that's what all of our MSEM grads will be able to do when they step out, is to have this ability to take that broader skill set, that broader perspective, and position themselves in positions for higher impact. To me, the real value of how they're doing in the program is not just the job they get when they step out of the program, but where they're going to be in 3 to 5 years. And that's where I'm looking forward to seeing the rapid progression. As a result of having these deeper skills, we think it's going to open them up to more advancement opportunities sooner and greater as a result of having this deeper skill set.
All right, thank you so much for that. And a very interesting example about how interdisciplinary skills are so critical and you don't know where that's going to take you. And in fact, I've heard from a few students attending Tufts that they have offers for dual degree programs, right? A degree in combination with another. And I was just curious whether the MSIM and the MEM programs at Tufts do offer combinations with other degrees. If so, do students take it? And what combinations have you seen succeed in the past?
Yes, no, that's an excellent question. In fact, it turns out the dual degree program at Tufts came about because of the way that, in general, master's degrees tend to have roughly 10 courses, but each of them have elective requirements. And by cross-counting the electives across the 2 degrees, we noticed that we could give a student 2 complete master's degrees, one in engineering management, one in a technical area. But they only have to take, though, the 16 courses over the 2 years, which is a very doable load. But it's also a discount, right? Because you pay per credit hour. So it's a discount. So in 2 years, you get 2 degrees, and the degrees are not diluted. They're full-blown degrees. So it's a full-blown technical with a full-blown engineering management degree. And they get a discount on top of that from having taken them in parallel. And what's nice is that they can do it within the 2 years. And we say about between 20 and 30%, depending on the year, actually take advantage of that because it is a bargain. And it's a way of then answering that question that you may have in the back of your mind. Should I get a technical master's or should I get an engineering management degree? And this gives you the best of both worlds. And it's really, we think, a wonderful opportunity to do both, if that's your aspiration. We do notice, too, that many people who sign up for a dual degree program, they get so excited by the time they finish their first degree that they want to go out and work in the world. And, they can actually take their technical master's. They can come back later on, do it online or whatever. So, they have flexibility.
All right, that's lovely. And they indicate that in the application if they want to apply to a particular degree combination?
Yeah. They at the time of applications, though, they can actually notate, that they want to be a dual degree candidate. What happens there is each of the departments. So we evaluate the degree program they're applying to in the Gordon Institute, and the department that they're applying for the other masters in will evaluate their applications through that lens. And then each of them will give their acceptance decisions, and you go from there.
All right, that's lovely. And I'm sure a lot of students would be interested in that, as they would be getting into the engineering management program or the innovation management program at Tufts, which brings me to, one of my final questions, which a lot of students would be interested in. How do they get in? As program leaders, what do you value in a profile? How do you evaluate it? Are there certain factors that stand out? And what are you looking at, in a potentially successful engineering management candidate?
Yeah, no, that's an excellent question too, because I'm sure, like everyone else, we're always looking for people who are smart, right? That's clear. But if you got to an engineering degree, a technical engineering degree, a BTech degree out of a top school in India, you've got the smarts. So the other thing we're looking for is a bias to action. We're looking for people who are actually curious about the world. So they're generally curious. So there's evidence that they've actually done things on their own in areas, not because they needed a grade, but because they were curious. So curiosity, and a bias to action in the sense that they've taken responsibility for making something happen. So for example, they may have taken the lead on a team. I remember there was one student who, he was working on I don't want to call it a dune buggy, but it was, they were supposed to build a vehicle that could actually race across, arid territories and things like that. It was a design competition, and he was the team lead on it. And to me, whether or not the team won or not was not the relevant thing. The relevant thing was he took responsibility for making something happen in a totally new area. So we're looking for that bias to action. The third thing we're looking for is coachability. We're looking for people who are open to being coached. Because why come to a program if you already know all the answers, right? Come to a program where you're willing to learn, you're willing to be open. And that means also being willing to put aside for a moment the total focus on a job and just focus on developing yourself. Because my theory is that if you develop yourself, you'll be even more valuable and you'll be even more impactful in terms of being able to find a job.
All right. And I think that just leads straight to my next question, which will be, I think, beneficial to people looking at this program, but also to people getting into different programs all over the states this year and in the coming years. And the job search is so different in the US as it is for us right here, right? The amount of networking, how you have to keep at it, the visa-related sponsorships that you require, it can be challenging for international students. But do you have any tips for candidates coming into your program and master's programs in general so that they can do the job search well? And have you seen certain of your students in the past do a good job at it because they've done certain things right?
Yes. Sure. There's no hidden secret here. To me, the number one thing to do as soon as you hit the ground in the United States is start networking. I'm sure everyone says that, and they say, "Oh, what does it mean?" Networking to me does not mean you start just arbitrarily cold calling people and saying, "Can I have a job?" No, that's not networking. Networking is about being curious about how other people got to where they are. So what it is an opportunity to get to, "Hey, Shrikar, how did you get to the position you're in today? What choices did you make?" Being curious about other people gives you an opportunity to help learn about how they made the decisions, but it's also giving them an opportunity to learn something about you because they can see you're curious and that you didn't just call them up for a transaction. You call them up because you're genuinely interested in learning from them. And then it's kind of a soft way of building out your set of connections so that you can then lay the groundwork at the end by saying, this may be an area I'm interested in. If you hear of opportunities, please, I would love to be able to apply for them. So you're doing a soft connection there. But the more important thing is you're doing it on a genuine basis of curiosity, not just to increase the number of connections you have on your LinkedIn profile, but genuine curiosity. And I find most human beings are really willing to take that first call. We have over 100,000 alumni at Tufts University, and I find that Tufts University alumni in particular are welcoming a connection from anyone who's a current student. It doesn't necessarily have to be in the area that they graduated in. They're genuinely, the Tufts community is a very friendly community. And we would encourage all students, not just international, all students, that they make use of that to build connections. Those connections will lay the foundation then for them to find opportunities. I'll give you an example. One of our students who, he thought he wanted to go into consulting. He had everything lined up, did an internship consulting, and then that year the consulting company had a bad year financially. They didn't convert any of the interns to full times, whereas historically it's for 80%. So he was an international student. He had to find something because he was graduating. He did over 100 of these outreach calls. And one day he was talking to a manager, or actually a director at a very, very significant software company. And they were just talking the curiosity question. How did you get to where you are? How did you make the choice in your career and all good stuff? And the director became very curious. And he asked them, "What kind of job would you want?" And so he described what he thought was the ideal job in product management for a new emerging service. And the guy said, "Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to open up a job rec for you that has that description. I want you to fill it out because as soon as you fill it out, I'm closing it." I mean, talk about dialing in what you want to do. And so he ended up doing that. He got a wonderful offer. He had a wonderful time in the company. He's actually moved on to several other companies, each time moving on to increasingly greater roles. But to me, the one thing he said to me was, it would not have happened if I did not make those 100 network connections, because it was just building on that base of connections that led him to the opportunity. just plugging in applications into digital portals is not the way to find a job. The best way to find a job is to build those human connections.
All right. Thank you so much for that, Kevin. And I know for a fact that I've learned so much about the program and networking and the general ecosystem in the US at this point in time. And I'm sure that our audience has learned a lot as well. And I'm sure that they'd be very excited at the prospect of being mentored and guided by you and the folks at the Gordon Institute. And it's a wonderful, wonderful opportunity that hopefully a lot of them will get the opportunity to take up in the coming years. So do you have any concluding words to say to our audience at this point in time? Any message you want to give them?
Yeah, no, Shrikar, I really appreciate your giving us this opportunity. I think what you're doing at Gradvine is a super service that I don't see anyone else doing. The one piece of advice I would give to all of the students who are thinking about doing a Master of Science in Engineering Management is connect with current and alumni of the programs. They're the ones who can tell them the most about what is the real experience of the program, what's the real value. I mean, I can talk about what I think the program is about, what I aspiration and hope is about, but the students can really tell you, the alumni can really tell you. We would welcome anyone who's listening to this webinar to contact Maura or myself or anyone in our team. We would happily connect you with current students, alumni, just tell us the domain area, whatever, because we think we're very proud of our alumni. We're very happy to make those connections because we think they're the best spokespeople for the program. At Tufts, one of the other things that we take great advantage of is being in the Boston ecosystem. Boston's a wonderful place to come to school. Over 250 graduate students descend on Boston every year. The total city is only 600,000. So it's a very vibrant city to go to school in. And Tufts, because the Green Line, our T, is now right next to the Gordon Institute building, the Jewish Cummings Center. We're only 20 minutes from downtown Boston. So we encourage our students to go out into that ecosystem, connect with the companies in the area, connect with the alumni there, connect with the people in the area, because that's also broadens out their network of possibilities. So being in the Boston area is a wonderful time to be a graduate student, and we would welcome them to take advantage of that full experience.
All right. Thank you so much for your time, Kevin. And I'm sure the audience is very thankful as well. And we look forward to working with Tufts and in the end benefiting students, because I guess that's what we're all here for. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Well, thank you very much for the opportunity, Shrikar. We look forward to working with all of you.
All right, lovely.